In a world full of movie podcasts, here is one more. Welcome to Defend Your Movie with Sean Donnelly
and Andrew Fiore.
The time has come again. A champion must stand. It can only be one of us. Victoria! So stand up and fight, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut it on and on. Bring it to me. Defend your movie.
Hello there, Defenders. Welcome to another edition of Defend Your Movie. I am your host, Sean Donnelly. I'm one of your hosts, Sean Donnelly, I should say. That's how we started off. I'm joined by my very lovable co-host, very tired co-host today, Andy Fiore, everybody.
Hey,
Give it up
everybody.
for Andy.
I'll be all right.
What?
I'll be all right. Just
You're
going
fine,
on no
you're
sleep,
fine.
bro.
Yeah,
No
you,
sleep.
You look fantastic.
Oh,
you got
thank
a
you.
Last Dragon shirt on.
Got a movie-themed T-shirt.
Yes. It's funny, I was on my way here. I was late today. I'm usually not late, but I was late
all right.
today because the freaking G train is a piece of shit.
It's the summer. It's everything just slows down.
Everything slows down, and then
sucks.
And also, if you don't,
Hot.
if for people who live in New York, if you don't, there's this train, the G train that only goes between Brooklyn and Queens. If you don't catch it, you're waiting 10 minutes for another one.
Yeah.
Like, so it throws your whole schedule back 10 minutes.
It's
you know?
the worst.
So anyway, so I missed one, so it put me back like a full 12 minutes or something like that. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, you know?
But because of your delay, you had a very cool run-in.
Exactly.
Which was movie-related.
Exactly. So I literally I come up to the G to the L. I'm walking down Avenue B. I cut over. I have my little way that I go. I'm coming down Avenue B. I'm right by the studio where we record and near Avenue B. I'm out of a tattoo shop. I see a guy, and I can see the bald head, and I see a very, very like. It's funny to me when you see celebrities in person. They're so manicured. They're so like their skin is perfect. Yeah. So right away I was like, this guy's standing out. I'm like, and it looks just like who I think it looks like. So I'm getting closer to the point where I'm not even thinking about the traffic.
And we just did his movie matchup based with his two films.
Exactly. And I walked across the street without even looking at the cars, and I almost got hit by a car because I was like, I know this is the guy. I'm like, this is Bruce Willis. It was freaking Bruce Willis coming out of the tattoo shop near the studio where we record. So I have a thing with celebrities, like, I don't play it cool ever. Like, I'm not cool, especially ones I like. And, like, Die Hard, we just did the Die Hards.
Yeah.
We did 3 versus 1. And I right away was like, and I walked up, and he saw I was coming up on him right away, and he was like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, hey, man. And then he was there with some bearded dude and some girl with blonde hair. And I'm like, no pictures probably, right? And the bearded dude, who I wasn't even fucking talking to,
right.
He goes, no. And then they both kind of just kept walking. And the Bruce didn't say, no, sorry. He just let the guy answer for him. And I was like, well, fuck you for that. Like, you could have been like, nah, sorry. And also, the bearded dude, go fuck yourself, dude. I was so nice.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. And I just walked away. I went to the deli and got my donuts and water and came here to the studio. But
he's
it was
right
pretty
downstairs.
cool.
He's right below us
He's
right now.
below us right now. I think he's still getting tattoos done. I think he's on a break from a tattoo.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah. So anyway, we won't tell you where it is because we don't want to blow this guy's spot up. But it was pretty cool. But it looks just like him, and he looks fantastic.
Yeah,
the guy, the regiment this must guy be on. He guy's 60 years old.
Yeah.
The guy looks like he's, I don't know, 40. Like, he looks amazing. Like, he looks like he must be on some kind of crazy workout regimen, some kind of diet, and good genes, I guess. Who knows? But he looks fantastic.
McLean, man.
He looks better than I do, and I'm 41. Anyway. So that was that. That was kind of cool, and that leads us into the movie podcast. And I walked in, and I was like, "Yeah, guys, I was late, but I just saw Bruce Willis downstairs," and it was really cool. And to be honest, that kind of begs the question: how often do you see celebrities?
I had
in NYC, not LA.
I had a good one. I forgot. I can't even believe I forgot to. Maybe I did tell you this, but it was like a week ago. I was leaving here, walking across down to the cellar. And I see a guy with his back to me wearing a Chateau Marmont jacket.
Oh God!
And which catches my eye because it's a very famous place in LA.
Yeah.
Obviously
Belushi
died there, and I turn around. It's a guy with a baseball cap on and sunglasses and a mustache, but it's James Franco.
Oh wow!
I forgot to tell you. But yeah, and he was just on the street talking. And I go, yeah, he was getting away with it. Not a lot of people were noticing, but it was definitely him. I've seen him twice now, like in the West Village area.
Oh, really?
One time I saw him with two beautiful women just walking down the street.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But this time he was a little more incognito. And then I had about 2 months ago, I had a real like paparazzi moment where I saw like a Cadillac Escalade parked on the street. I was walking from the subway over to like New York. You like walk through the park right there.
Yeah.
There's a really nice like hotel right on that corner, and I saw the Escalade, and I saw the photographers all like lined up around, and it was nighttime. And right as I was walking up, I see the bulbs go off, just lightning flashes, and it was what do you call it? David Beckham and what's his wife's name? Spice Girl.
Sporty Spice.
Sporty, yeah, whoever it was.
Whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty.
And that was like, I've never like walked up, I've never seen like the paparazzi light bulbs and stuff go off like that before. That was just timing.
That must have been a setup. They must have been set up for them, the paparazzi, to be there and catch them.
Well, that's what they do.
That's what they do.
You know?
They set it up, that appointment.
Because they're huge. I mean.
Oh, Victoria Beckham. That's
Victoria, yes.
One time, I think it wasn't set up, where Kate Hudson and her kids were in this park over in the West Village, like some little park, and they were doing like, I think it was around Easter time, so they were doing like this Easter activity thing, and I walked up, and because of the way that I look, I think these guys thought I was another paparazzi. So there are all these like weird, like ex-con looking paparazzi guys up there by the fence of this like private park.
By the way, Defender, you should know Sean walks around with a cap with a cue card that says press in his hat.
I walk around with those hats, those 1940s hats. And says, "Hey, what's the digs, fellas?"
Miss Hudson, how about a photo for the purpose?
Yeah, how about you show me them gams of the papers? Anyway, so I walk up on this park, and these guys are fluttering away with pictures, and I go, "Hey, I just thought I'd ask. I didn't think it'd be a problem." And one of the paparazzi, I go, "Hey, who's in the park?" Like, as a bystander. I had no camera on me. Just as a bystander. And he turns around and looks at me and goes, "Go fuck yourself." I think I was trying to encroach on his territory. I'm like, dude, I don't have a camera.
Do your own research.
Do your own research. My spot. Anyway.
That's one of my favorite Simpsons jokes of all time, is when it's in the Mr. Burns episode when he shoots Who Shot Mr. Burns. I think when they're leaving, Smithers is leaving court. One guy runs up and he goes,
"Oh, it's the best." He goes,
"Who are you? Why are you here?" He goes, "Do your homework, Chutton."
He goes, "David Chutton, Springfield Daily Shopper. Who are you? Where are you going?" And he goes, "Do your research, Chutton."
Who are you? Where are you going? Shutton. What a great name, too.
This is the way he says it. He goes, Ken Brockman goes, "Do your research, Shutton." Holy shit.
Who are you? Where are you going?
Line. Who are you? He goes, what does he say? So Shutton, but David Shutton, whatever his name.
Yeah, Springfield Shopper, something like that.
Springfield Daily Shopper? Who are you? Where are you going? God, is that show genius for 10 years.
So funny, man.
Oh my God.
Well, I did watch one movie this week. I got one in. I was out at my father's house. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers who are defenders out there. And to all the dads, really.
All the dads.
We had a nice time. I watched...
You watched it with your dad?
I didn't watch it with my dad, but I did watch a movie involving family. It's called Fighting With My Family. It's a Stephen Merchant movie, who you might know.
Oh, yeah.
From a super funny guy.
From Extras and from...
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's it's a wrestling movie. It's based on a true story of Paige Turner. And she's a wrestler in the UK with her brother. She's got kind of a family of wrestlers.
Wait, hold on. That's her wrestling name, Paige Turner? Or is her real name Paige Turner?
No, her real name's Paige Turner, and then she goes by Paige. She goes by a few different names.
But you realize what Paige Turner?
Yeah.
She's a Paige Turner. It's a Paige Turner.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. I think it's amazing.
I think that's her real name.
I think it's amazing that's somebody's name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's Paige Turner. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
And
so this is the one where they go to test them out and then she gets picked.
She's part of the NXT, like, Next Generation wrestlers.
And this really happened, right?
Yeah. And her brother's, it was his dream, and she's the younger sister, and she gets picked and he doesn't, etc.
Yeah.
And then it's the story of, her coming up through the ranks and becoming, like, the first, like, the youngest, like, Divas champion. It was good. It was, like, it was nice. It moved a little slow, but then it was okay.
I feel like he came and went, so I figured it wasn't that great. I remember it. I remember
wasn't
the
anything
trailer.
spectacular, but I enjoyed it.
And Stephen Merchant directed it, or he wrote
Yeah,
it?
he directed it.
Oh, and so, but it was like just kind of okay.
It was all right. I enjoyed it.
Because you know what it is, though? I feel like there's so little wrestling movies these days that wrestling fans didn't jump on this at all.
No, I don't know why.
Normally,
Rock's in it. He's got a nice part in it. Vince Vaughn's pretty funny in it. He does a Vince Vaughn kind of thing. He's one of the coaches.
Oh, really?
And but it was fine.
Chris Rock, not Chris Rock, Saint Germain, Dan Saint Germain's a huge wrestling fan, and he didn't talk to me about it at all.
I think it's a little syrupy. It's a little family friendly. You know what I mean? So that's probably why.
Yeah, wrestling fans are kind of jaded.
Right.
They don't know what the fuck they want. And they're like, even though it's so funny now, wrestling fans are so cynical when wrestling fans for 40 years believed wrestling was real. It's almost like you told a whole generation full of people there is no Santa Claus, and now they're like just being miserable for the rest of their fucking lives.
I would have screaming matches with my father when I was a kid. You know, I loved it when I was a kid. And he'd go, it's not real. I go, no, it's not!
Your dad would tell you it's not real?
Yeah. I'd go, shut up, Dad! Still real to me.
You know what's funny? My dad, before he died, he worked with, as a joke, he was mentioning wrestling. He goes, this guy he worked with at a security job. The guy was like, at this point, the guy was like 24, 25 years old. And he goes to him, he goes, oh, you watch wrestling? He's like, yeah. He goes, I used to watch with my son when he was younger. He's like, oh, cool. And he goes, it's fake, right? Like saying it as a joke. And the guy goes, oh, yeah. But not the big matches.
I mean, it still takes a hell of a lot of athleticism.
Oh, no, it's insane.
Like, they're still killing their bodies.
It's acrobatics.
It's really the only fake part is just, kind of, it's scripted.
Yeah, you know who the winner is.
That's the fakeness. Well, it's not really, I mean, you're not.
Honest, that's a lot of it.
Yeah, but I mean, when I was a kid,
aspect
I think when I was a kid, my dad used to be like, it's fake. I literally took that to mean like, I know they're not actually punching each other as hard as they can, and like, a lot of the moves are downplayed, but they're still getting slammed around and jumping off.
No, it's definitely acrobatics. But when you're a kid, you're wondering who's going to win the fight. Right. And to be honest, like nobody, you could say it's just like TV. It's like you don't know. Even the people who know it's fake don't know who's going to win.
I know, but it still takes it out of it for me. Now I can't get back.
Absolutely.
How many of our friends are like it's insane.
They love they love the pageantry of it or something.
That was the thing.
They love the heel aspect. They like almost like the delusion of it sometimes, where like they're almost believing it's still real when it's not.
Yeah.
And they love how I think they also love how much of a fucking train wreck it can be. Like they love how bad it is.
Right.
Like how like corny it is. They love almost how I used to watch Saved by the Bell even after I knew how corny it was, and I wasn't little anymore. It's like the same kind of thing, But they think there's like a skill to being, and there is a skill to being a wrestler. Like being able to talk shit in there is a big deal. Like being able to, what do they call that? When they bark, what do they call it when they're like doing promos? The promos is a big deal.
Yeah.
Promos is a huge deal. And some people can do it, some people can't. And that's what they form opinions on. After it wasn't real anymore, they're like, let's do all these different categories. Like who had the best gimmick, who has the best promos, who has that. Like it becomes about that more than anything.
Sure.
Yeah. So whatever. But not worth it to check out the movie you're saying.
It's a pass.
Yeah. Did I watch anything else? I didn't watch any other movies. I'm gonna watch that, and I want to watch that Adam Sandler murder mystery movie.
Oh yeah.
I'll report back next week. I'm gonna watch it this week.
Okay. And maybe I'll give it a watch.
Yeah.
I'm ending Fleabag, which I very much enjoy. It's a TV show.
You know what I started today? Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Oh, it's not bad. The very first episode, I thought the same thing.
A little corny, right?
And then I got into it.
It got better, right?
Yeah.
I'm on the second one now, and it's better. But it's the first episode, I was like, a lot happens.
As a comic, you're gonna hate the comic stuff of it, but it's still like you kind of start to fall in love with her.
I do have an issue with the comic stuff in it, especially and this is a spoiler coming, so turn it off.
That's old enough now. They're in the third season. It's old
enough now. The first episode ends with her getting arrested for being indecent exposure.
Yeah.
The cops she takes her tits out in the club, and the cops just show up, and then she's thrown in a car with Lenny Bruce. And it's like, nice coincidence. Boy. But that's one of the things that I was like, come on, guys. Yeah. But whatever. Do you want to do the meats and potatoes?
Yeah, let's do the meats and Pete's. We got a list this week.
We're going to do Defending Tarantino's List.
Defending Tarantino's list.
Defending what you can of the Tarantino's list.
Yeah, because we are both huge fans, and he's got the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Which I think is coming out next month or something like that.
And we're very excited. We'll go see it as a show.
Yes.
So in honor of that, Sean found an article of Quentin Tarantino's 12 greatest films of all time. This is his list, not ours.
Which I want to say, if you think about it, this is a very, somebody like Tarantino putting this out, like that's a bold move. Like that's
I guess so.
I guess he could change it any given time.
I love making. I have the list in my head too. You know, if you ask me to do this, and I think movie buffs love making their list. So this seems right up Tarantino's alley.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a crazy movie buff. That's what I wanted to talk about, because on the way here I was thinking, do you think that Tarantino would, if he didn't have the backstory he'd have more respect? I think he has a ton of respect in Hollywood, but do you think he has the respect as a movie fan making movies, or do you think that he is thought of now as a complete auteur of film, and he's in it, like he's like one of the greats?
The latter, yes.
Yeah, you think the latter?
Absolutely.
You think he's one of the greats at this point?
Yes.
Do you think something turned it? Because if you watch,
Yeah, he made great movies.
do you think Pulp Fiction gets thrown into that or no?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you do.
Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
I think it started even True Romance is a great movie to me. Even
Well, he didn't direct.
I know, but he writing credit.
Because I think that whole video store story, that backstory from him was so cool.
Yeah,
the whole idea
it gave everybody that hope of who wanted to make a movie one day.
That made me like. I love a movie.
I have friends who, because of that, worked in video stores and became film majors.
I worked at a Blockbuster, and
Yeah.
I think that was definitely inspired by that.
God, my buddy Chris we graduated college, and he worked at the Blockbuster and was managed by another kid we went to high school with, but it was like 2 years older than us. He was a senior, we were sophomores, and took the job really seriously.
Those guys always do.
And my friend Chris would just like, you're right out of college. He would show up drunk. He would make like vodka cranberries in like a water bottle, and so he's got this one. The manager comes up to him one day, and goes, "Hey man, I don't know what you're on, but you better not show up to work like this ever again." And Chris, he goes, all I was supposed to do that day was just alphabetize the movies. And he goes, the manager walked away. It was just, all he said was, he goes, "Man, the alphabet is hard." All drunk.
And that's what made him say that? That's what made him go,
He was all drunk. Yeah, he was all, no, that was in response.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was just drunk and couldn't figure out.
Well, I had the best. Actually, speaking of celebrity sighting stories, my old boss Glenn, he was awesome. He was like this. He was older than me, probably like his early 30s at the time. I was like 19 when I worked there, kind of like your friend, right? And he one time saw Matthew Broderick. He was walking in the city with his nephew. Did I tell this story on the podcast already? And in the distance, they see Matthew Broderick. And he goes, look, to his nephew, he goes, look, it's Matthew Broderick. And the nephew goes, where? And he goes, there, and like points his finger, and he hits Matthew Broderick right in the forehead. Hits him right in the forehead. And Matthew Broderick put his head down and just booked out of it, just ran away. But that's what that job is. It attracts weirdos. Because the last manager I had before I quit, this guy got mad because I still had my employee status on my account after I quit. I had friends that rented me a couple of free videos and gave me some discount on candy. But they did it on somebody else's register just by accident. So they called me back in. They'd be like, who did it? And I was like, I'm not telling you who did it. I'm not ratting this person out. And they go, well, he goes, I thought you'd be a man and tell me who did it. I go, I'm being a man by not telling you who did it. How about that? So I go fuck yourself.
Keep your mouth shut, you never rat on your friends.
Exactly. Yeah, Goodfellas rules. And he goes, this guy, and he was one of those guys. He was one of those guys that he was just a loser that took that job way too. I bet
if you told him that, you go, "Hey, well, we're looking by Goodfellas rules." Yeah,
we're living by good.
If you respect movies.
I'm living by the movies that you have on your shelves, motherfucker. But I said, I go, no, I'm not telling you. He goes, we already know who it is. So I go, all right, so you know who it is. There you go. Yeah. And he goes, well, and they made me pay the discount back and pay for the movie. So I go, cool. Here's $6.
Same guy. Caught one of our friends' fathers renting porns. He said it was the classic.
At Blockbuster?
Yeah.
They didn't have porn.
Well, it might have been a video. It was a Blockbuster, then it was a video. It went through a couple different chains. I forget which iteration he worked at.
But he rented porn.
Because it was the classic sunglasses on, baseball cap.
Oh my God.
He just comes up, and it was like one of our close friends too.
Oh, that's brutal.
Because it was one of the funniest things.
Did he tell the friend?
Ever. I don't know if he ever told. He was like a grade lower than us, but he lived across the street of our best friend. It was so funny.
Oh my God! I used to do a thing on Saturdays where I would get bored. They'd be so packed. I'd get bored and ask movie or trivia questions, and we have these coupons that you scanned for free rentals, and people would hand them in. You put them in the drawer, but you could scan it as many times as you want, and we give a free rental. Like you put a lock on it. So I'd be like, hey, who played this in Pulp Fiction or whatever? Yeah, Pulp Fiction. And somebody yell it out. I go, free rental. I just scan the thing.
Oh, you're a crowd favorite.
Oh, everybody loves me.
All right, well, with that, let's get to Quentin Tarantino's. These are his 12 greatest films of all time, in his opinion. I don't know how he landed on the number 12, but we'll count it down from number 12 on, as we like to do.
And full disclosure, we haven't seen all these.
I haven't seen all of these, but I've seen the majority of them. I've definitely seen his number 12, 1976's Martin Scorsese directed Taxi Driver.
It's interesting.
That's his number 12.
That's his number 12. So he has these in order, I guess, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And how do you? And is it 12 on? Is Taxi Driver on your list of all-time greatest movies?
No.
It's not.
Not in my top 10.
Oh, it's not. Is it in your top 20? Would you say?
I would have to sit down and make the list, but it would be a close call.
Yeah. Now,
I love Taxi Driver.
What? See, it's so funny to me because some of these I'm like, wow, I don't see any of these in his movie making.
I agree. It's a very odd list.
Like Taxi Driver, I don't see. If he said Goodfellas, I'd believe that more because of the way it's shot, the close-up shots, and how much he uses that.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about it before. The close-up of the gun, every part of the gun, and the Karen, I love you. That part with the bed when she has the gun. You see 3 parts of that gun close up before you realize what's even going on.
Right. Well,
that's Scorsese. Scorsese does that.
And I could tell you more Scorsese shots than I could. I would say Tarantino, I could tell you, is more of a writer. Like, he's more recognizable by his writing. And I could, not that Scorsese, yeah. Like Scorsese, like the fast close up, cut in. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that's
when the kid's getting beat in the beginning, and the dad's. I'll never forget that when I first saw Goodfellas. The dad's beating the shit out of him with a belt.
Yeah, and the pause
stops, and just this crazy shot of the dad, and then he's talking over the shot of the dad. That I will always.
I love that.
Assimilate with Scorsese. So, but then he does it other things too.
He does it a few other places
over time.
Yeah,
I think certain movies. I think he almost has two different modes he goes to. I think he goes to epic, and then I think he goes to personal. And I think that Goodfellas is personal.
God, when are we going to see The Irishman, man? I feel like I've been waiting forever.
I think it's going to come out soon. I think it's probably going to be the fall or something, I bet you.
I hope so. I'm
so curious.
I'm so worried.
I feel like it's going to be a giant flop, but I really hope it's not.
I hope it's great.
I think there's so much hype behind it, you almost can ask the question, can it not be a flop? Because of how many fucking troll opinions there's going to be about this.
I know.
Well, the real story did this. And it's like, no, that's not what you do with this. You just enjoy it for what it is. Anyway, but Taxi Driver to me, I think that I think that the grittiness of it. I think that Tarantino's movies get pretty low down as far as but.
Yeah, maybe that's where you get. Maybe that's the influence.
Yeah,
the grittiness, and I mean, Taxi Driver is a lot like, I guess, Reservoir Dogs would be the closest one.
I can see that. Yeah, sure.
Because it's a lot of gun violence.
But he has or he has. I think if you, not that I'm saying it has to be literal translations between his picks, but I'm trying to think, what's the closest movie Tarantino has to Taxi Driver? And I'm like, it would have to be one man who loses his mind almost because he's so in the shit, so hardcore. He just completely
right.
And I think that
when you put it that way,
Django might be your closest one.
Yeah.
I think you could almost say like the Christoph Waltz in Django is like a very classy version of what's his name in Taxi Driver, where he's just like, I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
Even in the end, you know what it is? I'll tell you what the connection is: blood.
Yeah.
You look at that scene where Christoph Waltz gets shot, and that whole scene in the house in Django is one of the bloodiest things you'll ever see in filmmaking.
Tarantino's never shied away from
and
blood.
Taxi Driver, same thing. It was famous for all the blood.
Yeah.
It was famous for that.
Totally.
I told you that rumor once, I think, on the podcast, where apparently Scorsese used to invite people over in the 70s. They'd watch dailies. They couldn't use the movie because it was too violent. And it was because there was so much blood. So he likes blood.
That's awesome.
Scorsese and obviously Tarantino does too, because he uses it a ton.
Shot Marvin in the face.
Yeah. Oh, man. I shot Marvin in the face.
Number 11 is a movie I'm not familiar with. It's Sorcerer by William Friedkin.
Never saw it, but William Friedkin is Exorcist.
Yes, of course. And I know that's his favorite horror movie of all time.
Exorcist?
Yes, he thinks it's the scariest movie of all time. I watched Eli Roth's The Business of Horror. He made like a miniseries this past year, and Tarantino had a whole episode dedicated to himself and explaining why The Exorcist is the greatest horror movie of all time, which I agree with.
Now, do you wonder why it's not on the list?
I did. Well, I very much.
I wonder why did he pick Sorcerer over that as all time?
I can't say because I've never seen it, but
right, yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying I wish there was
I'll have
like
to check these out.
I wish there was a thing like a caveat with it. Like,
I know.
This is why this is on here.
Number 10 is another one I'm unfamiliar with. Is Rolling Thunder, 1977. John Flynn.
Never saw it.
Never saw it. Another early 1970s one. Roger Vadim's Pretty Maids All in a Row.
I know who did it. Roger Vadim directed it.
Yeah.
I've heard of this movie.
Same here.
But I never saw. I think is it a western or is it not a western?
I don't know.
Hold on, so we're gonna find out. Sorry.
But I would just like to note also, we've made the case for this before. The greatest decade of movie making is 70s, and you'll find that 8 out of his 12 on this list are from the 70s.
I think he's even said that in public.
It's hard to deny at this point. I mean,
they said that and I think the reasoning is because the studio movies back then were basically independent.
Every
movies.
single one has been so far. And while you look up Pretty Maids All in a Row, we'll jump to number 8, which is, of course, my favorite movie of all time, 1975, Steven Spielberg and Jaws. I don't know if it's your number one.
It's not my number one.
Number one.
This is your number one.
This is my favorite movie ever.
And what number does he have it?
He has it at number 8, which is it's pretty crazy. And I can see actually some of Spielberg's early direct, choices he made with camera cuts and stuff like that being influential to Tarantino.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Like specifically Jaws, you think?
I like it. Well, specifically, like there's an air of mystery with Jaws where you don't see the shark for a while. Tarantino kind of does that with not really getting the full story on things, not seeing everything. He does that in Reservoir Dogs. You definitely see that in Pulp Fiction with the whole suitcase thing. You don't really know what it is, his soul. You never really find out. You're never shown it. So I can see that. And there's also a lot of quick jump cuts that Spielberg does, like when they're on the beach and every time somebody passes in front of Brody, the camera jumps up a little, and then somebody passes by again, jumps up again. Stuff like that I can see would be influential.
I think when it comes down to Jaws, I think if you want to talk in generalities, when it comes to Jaws, is name something that was, you could never do it again, and they never did. There was nothing like it before it. It was the weirdest thing where like it almost started blockbusters. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, it did.
When we talked about it. It started blockbusters.
Summer.
And think about it, you can't recreate it. You can't recreate the magic of that movie because circumstances led that movie to be like one of the most naturally scary things ever in film. Like, as far as like the mechanical shark thing, but it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
And then like the casting and the look and then also the time period. So if you put everything like that into it, like it's almost like the way that movies are now, it can never be redone. Like what the advantage of movies in the 70s, even from what I remember about like when I was little, whatever I'd watch, like the one thing that you had the chance to be original, it feels like. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like everything's done by mid 80s anyway, in 1990 anyway.
Yeah,
or most
maybe
stories,
by the 90s.
or at least it's tried. They were taking risks, and they were like he said, like it was the perfect time for directors because you had all these offbeat avant-garde directors that were like in the forefront of their time.
Yeah, yes and no. I think with the invention of CGI, you were able to see a lot more visually, but I agree with you that kind of techniques and stories.
What do you think is better? Do you think it's better to have the hands tied when you can't see as much, or do you think CGI helped things? You think it helped and it hurt? I think it helped and it hurt.
I think so because
you get too much information. Because that's what I mean as far as the piecemeal.
I know we wouldn't have Jaws the way it was. If everything went smoothly,
and that's way more. That's what that movie making is supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be cutting things together to make you feel something.
Totally.
But if you're just like, hey, here's the show, like that's why they, not that I don't think the Meg thought it was going to be the new Jaws, but you watch the Meg and a lot of people don't like it. Meg's not the greatest thing in the world.
I like it
because it's just there. The whole thing's there. The big reveal is supposed to be there's 2 Megs. Nobody cares at that point.
Yeah.
Like it's fun. Don't get me wrong. And Jason Statham, I like anything Jason Statham. The guy's badass. But what I'm saying is, think about it like, all right, the lack of information you have. You're a kid. You're 16 years old, right? And it's 19. What year did Jaws come out?
75.
and you're a kid, and it's 1975, and the summer of Jaws is happening, and you don't even know much about this thing. You don't have the information. You don't have interviews and things online, and all you have is like, there's this movie Jaws coming out, and it's supposed to be awesome, and it's based on this book. That's all we know. And you could read the book, but then you go see the movie, and then it blows you away.
I know.
You know how, like, that feeling could never really happen again. That's why now
I
the
agree.
closest thing you have is if somebody goes, have you seen this? And then you literally turn around and go see it without getting any input from anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's the only time that I've had the feeling of like, oh my God, that was amazing. Like, and my example I've said on the show before is Hell or High Water. I had zero information about Hell or High Water, and I love it. I love Hell or High Water. No Country for Old Men was the same way for me too. I didn't know much about that movie either. So it's one of those things where you want to go into it. The littlest amount of info you can go into a movie with, the better.
Oh yeah,
You know?
I know. Now it's oversaturated.
Now it's oversaturated.
Number 7.
Let me just tell you this real quick about this. Pretty
Maids
Little
All in a
Maids All in a Row. Pretty Maids All in a Row. It looks like it's a real exploitation film. Gene Roddenberry, who's the Twilight Zone guy.
Yeah.
That's who created Twilight Zone, I think.
No, Rod Serling.
Oh, no. Rod Serling did. What did Gene Roddenberry do? Oh, no. He did Star Trek.
Yeah.
Okay. Wrote and produced this black comedy about a guidance counselor well-versed in seduction and murder.
All right.
So it seems...
I didn't think it was that at all.
Screenplay Gene Roddenberry, producer Gene Roddenberry, director Roger Vadim. I don't know. I kind of want to watch this.
Absolutely.
Cast, really quickly, let me see if there's any big people on the cast. Angie Dickinson's in it.
Okay.
Rock Hudson's in it.
Oh, wow.
Telly Savalas. Roddy McDowell from Planet of the Apes.
Of course.
James Doohan from Star Trek.
You wanna make
I think
a-
he plays what's his name? The Scottish guy.
Can I make a really crazy connection?
Yeah.
Roddy McDowell was in a really early movie about sharks. I think it's called Shark Attack. Or
Yeah.
It's like from 1959 or something like that. It's Roddy McDowell just playing a Roddy McDowell type of kid. It's called, what's it called? I'll look it up.
Is it bad?
But it was just a weird connection of Roddy McDowell and Jaws.
That's all I recognize, but that's enough. This is probably a really fun. Now I'm so curious why this is one of his favorite of all time. This might be a thing for him where he was like, I was a kid when it came out, and it was a blast to watch. It might be
Killer
that,
Shark, 1950.
It's called Killer Shark.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. But you know what I mean? It might be one of those things where he grew up on that movie, and that's why he loves it so much.
Yeah, of course.
All right, what's the next on the list?
The next, number 7, His Girl Friday, Howard Hawks, 1939. I think I watched this for like a film class in college, but I don't remember anything about it.
I think I watched it back in the day because my grandmother. I think she liked this movie. His Girlfriend. It was a super famous movie from back in the day.
Yeah.
Like once again, I want an explanation about why.
I think that was one of those influencers.
Yeah.
That he has.
Well, for us, our first inclination is like it's a corny older movie. You don't think of it.
Yeah, 39 is pretty old.
Yeah.
Number 6 on the list, The Great Escape by John Sturges, which I haven't seen in forever, but I remember seeing it. It's a classic.
Yeah, I think that I'm guessing he just chalks it up to epic action movie and really hard to make movie.
Absolutely.
Did it win an Oscar?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's gotta be just because I think he also, because doesn't he like Cool Hand Luke as well? I think he likes.
I mean, that's my number 2. If we're going,
right. Yeah. I think he
not
also,
on his list, but
or war movies. I think he's a fan of war movies. You never know.
Absolutely.
Great Escape might have influenced Inglourious Basterds.
Well, war movies does come in. The top 5 is you can definitely start to see where his influences come from, but also some weird choices on here, in my opinion. Number 5, which I think you would agree.
This is one that's probably I forget if it's this is the one that I'm glad it's on there, I think.
Yes, I agree. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, no, that's not the one.
Okay. I was like, this one makes total sense to me.
It totally makes sense.
Absolutely.
It definitely makes sense.
And you can see this in The Hateful Eight more than anything. It is, down
absolutely.
to the soundtrack. I'm pretty sure, what's his name? Enrique.
He did it.
He did the same soundtracks.
And also, that guy must be 1,000 years old.
Yeah, I know.
Because he did all the spaghetti westerns back in the day, and they're he consulted on the Hateful Eight soundtrack.
He did the soundtrack.
He did the whole thing.
Score. I think it's the original score by.
Oh my, Anicio Morricone, right? Whatever his name is.
Uh-huh.
But like, you see his name on something, and you're like, how are you around?
I know.
How is that happening?
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in Hateful Eight.
Yeah, and I think the idea of the stranger probably influenced a lot of stuff for Tarantino.
Yep.
And it's just, I think adding coolness, a coolness factor to the flick.
I like Day of Flight. You're not as big on it as I am, but I rewatched
I'm
it
not.
and I really enjoyed it again.
Maybe I should rewatch it. I saw it once.
Yeah.
You know they have a longer version that's online.
That's the one I watched. I watched the longer version.
You know they have a longer version. Remember we did the town the other day? They have a longer version on the Apple thing that I bought.
No, get over it. Number 4, interesting choice. Richard Linklater's 1993 classic, Dazed and Confused.
If I had to guess, first off, you see a theme coming. Look, if it's not in the 70s, this guy, it's a movie that's based in the 70s. Like, he just likes the 70s, it seems like. But on top of it, I think it's weird what happens in Dazed and Confused. I think it comes off like it's just a whatever bubblegum like teenage, but
it's more than that.
For people who I didn't live in that time period, I wasn't a high school senior in that time period or 1980.
Didn't you want to be because of that movie?
But you kind of did, yeah.
Totally, I wanted to be.
And also, it must have nailed it.
Yeah,
that's why I think it must have nailed it.
I know, and I don't love Richard Linklater movies, to be honest. But I love Dazed and Confused, and I've argued against Dazed and Confused, but I do love it, which happens a lot on the podcast.
It's a fun movie.
It's a great movie, and I bet you're right. It nails it so much of being a senior in 1970 whatever.
That's like, what else would it be?
There's that like carefree, that's the feeling of summer. Like we watched it all the time. It was such a great school's over movie.
Dude, I was talking to my sister about that yesterday. The feeling of the last week of school.
Oh, what a great, that last day.
Oh my God. I said it feels like nobody, and it's true because you don't realize at the time, but even the teachers don't give a fuck. But then you can kind of tell, like, don't you feel like there's like loose papers in the hallway and it's like, it's windier inside of the school? Like, I remember thinking, like, I'm like, does it feel cooler and nicer? And
yeah, by the way, I was never able to do that. I never had any sort of raucous celebrations where we were tearing notebooks open.
Nobody did. Unless the 70s when they were just
I'm sure.
When it was just some complete free-for-all.
The last day of school was the greatest. You just had 3 months off. It was the only other feeling I can. Matt, was snow day, an unexpected day off.
It doesn't even compare to the last day.
Yeah,
because you were like, oh my God, like you can't even like just the feeling of not having to go wake up for.
I don't know.
Oh my God, it was. The best.
Feel bad. Anybody who never had the pleasure of experiencing snow days. Like, thank God for the Northeast.
Do they not have them anymore?
No, you live in a warm part of the country.
Oh, yeah, you're screwed.
You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know that feeling of...
They get earthquake days.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, but yeah.
You just never had that built-in maybe day off. It was such a great feeling.
Oh, that was a great feeling. But I think the summer thing trumps it. I do think that.
Oh, absolutely. Last day of school, no question.
Last day of school feeling for me, I can still feel it.
Me
like,
too.
That's how much...
I know.
It's just like you... Like you're weirdly, it's like this weird feeling. Like you're like saying goodbye to people, and you're like, there's a finality to it, but there's also like a hope for how exciting the summer will be.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I can just go do whatever I want. Like and that's the time before when you have zero responsibility. So it's like the time before you have like the high school summer job or whatever it is, like that kind of thing. Like I used to work at the library in my town. So like before that age, when I was like 12, where it was like you were just gonna go ride your bike around and do whatever the fuck you want. It was the best thing in the world.
Yeah, it really was.
So you're right. So Dazed and Confused kind of has that thing to it. And even when I was in like high school, even in high school in the summertime.
Capture.
Oh my God,
it really is.
There's so many moments.
And it does, and also the nervousness of the new in like the kids going into high school, which is like a crazy summer too.
Yes,
and
that
then,
is a
you're
crazy
so
summer.
nervous. You're like, oh my God, high school. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's what the funny thing about high school to me is. When you're in it, it's your universe, and you're so afraid of being embarrassed about this, that, or the other thing. And I actually didn't even spend. I had friends from my high school, and most of my time was spent with like my buddies through skateboarding. That was outside my school. But then I would say, I don't know, man. A day after I graduated, I was like, why did I care about high school? I really was like done with it.
Huh. That's funny.
Why did you care?
I had a little more tie. I had a little tie. Like I would go back and watch like my old hockey team play.
Oh no, I was done. I was. I was out. I was.
The crazy thing too is 1993 was the year I went into high school. So it was like I knew once we started watching Days of Confused. I was like I was 93, 94 was my first year.
So you had that feeling like, oh shit, is this still happening?
Yeah, I was like, am I going to get initiated?
Yeah, because even though they must have nailed it. Like that must be how it is. I think it's supposed to be like 1980 in the movie, right? Or something.
No, it's
70 something.
Yeah. It's like 77, I think.
They must have tapped into something with him, just like the other 70s movies.
Randy Floyd.
Yeah, it's good.
Number
stuff.
3, another interesting choice, but I know he loves De Palma. Is Carrie. Number 3 on his list, Carrie.
Yeah. Well, where do you think that comes from? Where does Carrie lie on your? I don't
doesn't even come
care
in
about
close
Carrie.
to my radar. I like Carrie, and I
think
like,
it's
you know me,
overrated.
I'm much more of a horror guy, but I don't think it's that. It's kind of a slow-paced
I saw it once when I was a
movie.
kid. It freaked me out. I just.
It's all for the build-up. I mean, it's creepy, and you feel badly for this terrible, this.
Getting picked on.
I mean, they're all gonna laugh at you. It becomes almost like a caricature.
Well, it became an Adam Sandler thing.
Exactly.
We're all gonna laugh at you.
And then early Travolta, the pig's blood has become a famous scene, and it's not a great movie. It's why I'm surprised it's this high even on his list. It's
You think there's
to
better-
me.
I also
it's
think
got
De Palma-
it's got that big scare at the end with the hand coming out of the ground again, and
I think
like
De Palma's overrated.
I agree. Yeah, there's nothing
Because
too special for me either.
What did he did? Did he do Untouchables? Untouchables is
Who did Untouchables?
he did Untouchables,
Somebody will
didn't he?
yell at us for not knowing.
yeah,
this.
for not knowing. Yeah. What's the next one? There's
next one
There's
is-
one on here that I'm excited about.
I think this is Bad News Bears.
yes,
Michael
yes,
Ritchie,
yes,
1976.
Yes. This is I gotta be
You've
honest.
fought for before. You've defended.
I have
before.
fought for Bad News Bears. It's a great movie. It's a great. I like it. I am so glad it's on this list because I think that it gets dismissed a lot of the time because it's a kids movie, but it's really not a kids movie. And we talked about that on the episode.
I think you won me over on that episode. Yeah.
And once again, another movie that will never be made again. You know what it is? It's, for me, if I had to guess, it's the authenticity of that movie. Like, if you're like a middle class kid and you're, now granted, I mean, you want to talk about kids in California. These kids were all in Southern California. But that movie was like so for real for me. And those kids acted so real. You don't see that a lot of the time. Like it was that 70s and 80s thing about kids in movies acting like adults that doesn't happen anymore.
Yep.
That's why it translates to me to Stranger Things. Even though Stranger Things is cleaner and they're not saying the N-word and they're not like calling the kids Mexicans and all this crazy shit. But like that is more, it's authentic to me. It's super authentic.
Yeah, because that's a snapshot.
And Walter Matthau, like, in that movie is perfect. He's great in it. It's great acting. He plays the loser to a T. There's also that high tension scene at the end with him and her, with him and Tate O'Neill, where it's like if you're putting it in the realm of a kids movie, you're not thinking of it as good as it should be. So what happens is, in actuality, it's a good movie with a high dramatic scene that you're kind of dismissing because you're like, oh, this is just a kiddie baseball movie.
Yeah.
But in reality, over the years, I think it even did get nominated or whatever. Who knows what happened back in the day? But like, in reality, it's just a straight up good movie. It's a quality. It's Michael Ritchie that did it, right? Yeah. He did like Breaking Away, and he did. What did he do? He did a bunch of movies in the 70s and the early 80s. Something else, Silver something. I forget what, Silver Fox or something. But anyway, I don't think it gets its due. And the fact that he put it on here, I commend immensely.
Well, that brings us to number 1 on Quentin Tarantino's 12 greatest films.
And he has
of
Bad News
all
Bears as
time.
number 2.
I know.
See, I'm
so intrigued by this list.
It's a you know what it is, but now I want to see an interview with him where he explains why each one.
Yeah,
they didn't do it in the article, right?
No, it's just a list. It's Apocalypse Now. Francis Ford Coppola, 1979, which is very surprising if you're going to put a Coppola movie on here.
Yeah,
you're not going to do one of the Godfathers, but it's his list. It's personal.
I think Apocalypse Now is directed better. I think it's more interesting shots.
Interesting.
I think, you think about all the shots, the Vietnam shots, and even the ones when they're coming onto the island.
And drawn out for me though. It's not.
I love it.
Close to my favorite Vietnam.
I'm a
movie.
fan of Apocalypse Now.
Did we do Apocalypse Now versus
the story of Apocalypse Now? I love the Heart of Darkness story.
I love the Heart of Darkness aspect of it, and I do love the way I love the horror. Horror. I love that. But there's Apocalypse Now. When I saw it when I was younger, like confused scared me. Does that make sense? Like
you have to
I
see
didn't
it when
quite
you're older.
know what was going on.
Yeah.
But I knew it was about Vietnam. But then there was parts of it that didn't seem real, where I was like, it really did scare you, and that really was like horrific. And it was, that's why I'm saying it was like a confusing scariness that it hit me in some. It gave me a reaction where I was like, that seems off to me. It was the same feeling I got when I watched The Shining too young,
right?
Where I was just like, it's not, aside from the violence, the tone of it it made me feel like icky. You know what I mean?
But I think that's the point.
I know.
I think it's shaping taste within you. It's shaping. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's eliciting reaction. If it was a dud, you'd be like, oh, this is just whatever. It's not scaring me. It's not doing anything.
Right.
You're right. But when you see movies like that, that's like that whole Pulp Fiction story I had. That I was 15 on my way, and it said sodomy in the description of the movie, and I was like, I think I know what that is.
Right.
So it's like it makes you uneasy. It makes you scared because you're right. Apocalypse Now. It's not a horror movie, but there's scary parts to Apocalypse Now.
Totally.
And there's also sad as fuck parts. It's a super heavy. It's a better it's like how Deer Hunter, how heavy Deer Hunter is.
Heavy.
But I think this is a way better made movie. It kind of deals with the same topics. Of
course.
You know what I'm saying? But I think
the first time
Apocalypse Now, I love it. I think that it's such a cool. I think the poster's cool. I think the directing's so amazing. I think the writing in it's cool. I think the scene with
the
Robert.
first time you see Martin Sheen pop out of the water, that's badass. He had a heart attack on set.
Yeah, because there's so much stress. It wasn't him. It was Harvey Keitel for the first.
Yeah,
they filmed like an eighth of the movie.
Young Harrison Ford.
Yeah. No, I'm saying Harvey Keitel was supposed to be in the movie.
I'm just naming people you just kind of forget.
Lawrence Fishburne. The scene with the dog when they think the dog's dead is sad. When he kills the...
Yeah, dude, I don't even like it when they sacrifice the cow. I hate it.
No, it's freaky.
Yeah.
It's a heavy movie, man.
I know.
I think I saw it too young, too, but why it left such a mark on me. If I would have saw it when I was 25, I would have a different thing. I think I saw it when I was probably... I don't know. You have to be like 30. If you're 13, you see that movie, you're fucked up. You get fucked up from it. But,
are you a Glursley clerk?
What?
Sent here to collect a bill? Well, I do have a bill. Mr. Peterman. I love how in Seinfeld they make the Apocalypse Now up at that ending.
And she goes, oh, no problem. I will have to see this hat, though.
Kanjawa, harada. You speak Burmese? That was gibberish.
No, Lane, that was gibberish. But I think that, I think I see why he puts this as number one. I'm actually, I think if I had to guess from me, if this was my list, just the epicness of it. I think, think about it. There was a movie made about the making of this movie. Whenever you have a movie like that, it was this really honest thing about how much of a disaster. The filmmaking of this movie was a disaster. It caused fights. It caused marriage to almost break up. It caused all this crazy shit, and the movie still came out remarkable. You know how hard that is? Geely, that was a fucking wreck. And
how dare you put those in the same sentence?
I'm kidding. But when it comes to this movie, it's so raw. Even the documentary made about it's so raw. The movie itself is so raw, and it's just this epic. Yeah. This cool, and also it's a Vietnam movie without being a Vietnam movie. The background is Vietnam, but you still have Vietnam elements in it. The story itself can be done at any war, any given time.
Charlie don't surf.
Yeah. It's great. So I think if he put it in there, I would guess. I don't know his reasoning because he always. He's so brilliant. That's why we should tweet at Quentin Tarantino. Be like, please give reasons about why these are on your list.
I know that'd be so great.
I don't know if he has Twitter or not, but I'm so dying for a follow-up article.
Tag the podcast. Tell him to come on and explain it on here.
Out of the ones we know, what would you put as number one of all these? I probably what?
Jaws.
Oh, Jaws. Yeah, I'd probably put no Apocalypse Now. I put a number one.
Really?
And then my number two would be Bad News.
Over Jaws?
Yeah. Oh, maybe not. No, maybe my Bad News would be number three for me. More. Yeah, you're right. I do love Jaws. I do.
Over Taxi Driver? Bad News Bears?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not a huge Taxi Driver guy.
Yeah.
I think that could get overrated as well. I think it's not the best Martin Scorsese.
Over His Girl Friday? I get upset.
Just keep doing that for everyone.
Over Rolling Thunder? I can't go much higher.
Over Nissan Marcon? No, that's the composer. Yeah, but still, he's really good.
Over Pretty Man's All right. I'm getting fucking tired, delusional.
You're out of it. We are at Showbiz Studios. That's showbizstudios.com. They have a YouTube page. They also have an iTunes page. And check them out. It's showbizstudios.com. Alex, what do you want to... I'm Alex. Jesus.
My name is Andrew.
I know, but I was talking about Alex a second ago.
You got some big news that you should plug.
Yes, I will. You do yours first, though.
I will be in the city all weekend. I'll be at our friend's Skankfest. The Big J and Dave Smith and
Wasn't
Louis
invited,
J.
but
Gomez.
have fun.
Well, we can't all make the cut. You're not skanky enough.
When are you doing the show?
I'm doing 2 spots. I'm doing one Friday and one Saturday, and then the guys from Bonfire asked me to be a part of the live show, which is Saturday at 2 p.m. So that'll be this week. And if you're in Brooklyn, come by, or if you're traveling, or I think it's already all sold out. So if any of the people there come
What's
say
the venue?
hi. Brooklyn Bazaar. It's the same place that did it last year.
And was it skankfest.com?
I think so. That sounds right. But you can go
if you
to
Google Skankfest, you'll see it.
Absolutely. You can go to andyfury.com for all my tour dates. I'm in the city for most of June until July, so hopefully I'll be coming to a club near you
Just
soon.
go to miloyiannopoulos.com.
Maybe he'll be there.
Yeah, and I'm at Shawnee Time on Twitter and Instagram. And yes, when this comes out, the next day, it's already sold out, I think, though. But I'm excited to say that I'll be opening for Gary Goldman for his HBO special in Brooklyn at this place called Roulette in Brooklyn. And there's still tickets.
I've done that theater.
Have you?
Yeah, it's great.
It's great.
Yeah.
Who'd you do it with?
I did a charity show there years ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's right off Atlantic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. I'm really excited. I'm really honored to do it. Like, Gary's a buddy of mine, and it's like, I would say one of the most respected comics out there. So
I'm so happy for
I
him.
was really thrilled that he asked me to do it. So, and then besides that, in a couple weeks I'll be at City Steam, and then I'll be all over the city, the Cellar, and then wherever else. I have a new website coming out too, so be on the lookout for that. And thank you so much, Showbiz. Thank you, Andy.
Absolutely.
Great episode, defending your Tarantino's list. Defenders.
Give us some suggestions.
Give us suggestions.
Tell
also,
a friend.
Tweet at us at Defend Your Movie. Let us know why you think, like, if you can we make connections from Tarantino movies to these movies? Give us scenes. Give us themes. Give us whatever you think about where the connections are.
I know we miss a lot, but that's why you love us.
If we think of any, I'll put it on the Defend Your Movie account if I think of any. We missed a ton, and but that's why some people like the show. That's why some people stop listening. All right, we'll see you next week. We love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.